IVM.
Hey guys, welcome to the Positively Unlimited podcast. And today's topic is, it's coming from something I experienced on a recent trip. Well, it was a very long trip. I was gone for almost 7 weeks. And during that time, through those travels, one thing I experienced, and I possibly experienced it for the first time, was that there were days when I felt terribly homesick. And it wasn't about wanting to be home as much as it was about wanting to be with specific people in my life. So I know that this is the festive season. This is the Diwali weekend. There's a bunch of us who haven't been able to go home. There's some of us who have gone home and are lucky and fortunate enough to spend time with our family and friends. And then we'll have Christmas and New Year's coming up, and there's going to be a whole bunch of weddings during this time. So it's generally a happy, let's spend time with family, let's do fun things kind of period and season. But for a lot of us, these last months of a year are usually the toughest. It's the toughest because it's when we miss home a lot. And what I want to talk to you about today is that home is about relationships and it's about people. And if you are missing home a lot, then think about how to build a home wherever you may go. What do I mean by that? I mean that we have different kinds of relationships and we must learn to lean into them and use those as support, including the relationship that we have with our own selves, so that when we feel homesick, when we are craving for specific people, possibly like I crave for dessert, you have people that you can reach out to and do some fun things with. You have things that you can do that allow you to take care of yourself and keep things light. The day that I was feeling homesick during that trip was because, I felt it 2-3 times and I analyzed it. I was trying to sit with myself and say, okay, what is going on? Because I was traveling with close friends. So what was going on? Well, the first time that I felt it, I realized that I was feeling terribly exhausted. It was right after my retreat, which means I was seeking comfort. So the moment I realized this, I told my friends that I'm not going to be joining them on some of the things that they were planning to do the next day. And I stayed in bed. I slept in late. I woke up. I spent the day at a pace that I wanted to. I allowed myself to just be lazy. Right? And the moment I gave myself that sense of comfort, that feeling of I want to go home started to fade away. And I suddenly was excited about what we were going to do once again. Now, if I look at this from where you may be, which is working while a whole bunch of your colleagues and friends have gone back home, and you are wondering what can you do during the festival time or during these long weekends and holidays with yourself. Maybe if the reason why you are feeling homesick is exhaustion, take this time to rest. Take this time to do things that you have been putting off for a long time. Maybe it's a class you wanted to go to. Maybe it is reaching out to an old friend who's in the same city and you just haven't had the chance to do that. Maybe it is going and watching a play or a movie or a show that you've been wanting to but didn't have the time. Maybe it even is about exploring the city that you have been living in, quite like a tourist. Sometimes that helps. So, if you are feeling exhausted or if you are seeking comfort, if that's the reason why you are feeling homesick, then give yourself a sense of comfort. Think about how you can give that to yourself. Now, the second time that I was feeling homesick on that trip was when I was having certain fun moments and I wanted to share it with specific people. You have these specific friends and even family members with whom you do these certain things. And when you're traveling, you experience something like that and you say, oh, if that person was here, he or she would have loved it and this would have been so much better. And I found myself saying that over and over again on those 1 or 2 days. And I remember saying, I feel homesick. And at that point, I realized that it wasn't about going home as much as it was about reaching out for that relationship, that specific equation. Now, obviously, I was in another country, specific equations were in another country. So what was my next best thing? Well, I made video calls. I sent lots more messages. I told them exactly how I felt. I sent pictures. So there was a kind of interaction that happened. And while that obviously made me miss them, yes, but it kind of made that sense of feeling homesick fade a little bit. I just felt reassured that despite the distance, they are there for me. And thanks to technology, everybody is reachable today. So if you are stuck in one place and your family is in another place or your friends are in another place, think about how you can reach out to them. Think about how you can spend an evening using technology to fill yourself up, even if it is a little bit, right? Don't starve yourself of the love and attention because, oh, that'll just make me feel even more miserable. It doesn't have to make you feel even more miserable. In fact, if you get to spend that kind of time and you do it in a fun way, maybe it becomes another memory. Like a friend of mine who's in LA, we do this very often. Well, when it's night for me, it's morning for her and vice versa. So she opens up a bottle of wine and she calls me up while I'm having coffee in the morning, and we spend half an hour, 45 minutes sipping on our drinks together. And it's funny and silly and we joke about it, but it's only brought us closer. I also remember with another friend of mine where we would have a meal once a week via technology together. And it was just something that we did, right? So you want to, in fact, a very close friend of mine who's in Singapore will often call up during her lunchtime. So when she is eating and I'm a few hours ahead, it's possibly coffee break for me. We both are talking and she has company when she's having her meal, as well as we are connected. So you want to think about how you can use technology to make yourself feel better. Try to create these moments around it. Another thing you want to think about is this. Sometimes you don't have to reach out for the deep relationships to feel comfort, happiness, joy. Reach out even to the frivolous relationships, the ones that are, well, they're not really close. Maybe it's the flatmate that you are not super close to, that you just say hi, hello to, once a day when you all cross paths. Maybe it's that person that you sit down with and have a meal with. Maybe it's, or you ask the person saying, let's go out and do something together. Maybe it's someone who lives in your building that you have bumped into. Maybe it is somebody who you meet in a class that you take regularly and you'll have great conversations in the class. Maybe you want to tell the person, let's meet for a coffee or a drink. So if you are feeling homesick, reach out to some of the new connections, some of the distant connections, some of the connections that are, well, they're not full of depth and they're not this, oh, I can call you up at 3 a.m. kind of relationship. So I don't know how many of you remember, but Airtel had done this really brilliant campaign where they said, Har ek friend zaruri hota hai. You have to realize that we need to have all kinds of friendships at all levels. So don't try to only build relationships that are full of depth and that you think are going to last a lifetime. Spend time trying to build different types of friendships. Well, I hope that this little don't feel homesick or what you can do to not feel homesick episode helps you out through the festive season right now, as well as in December when Christmas and New Year's comes around. And I hope that you find new ways of reaching out to your loved ones. So wishing everybody a really happy Diwali and a great festive season and a year full of prosperity and abundance. For those of you who have realized that something in your life needs to change, well, lots of tools, tricks, tips, perspectives are on my podcast. It's available on the IVM website as well as the IVM app. Also, if you need to reach out to me for some extra help or just share a topic that you would like me to talk about, I'm on Instagram. My handle is @PositivityAngel. So I will catch you again next Monday with a whole different perspective on something that we are doing and that needs to change ASAP.
How many times have you motivated yourself to improve your sleep or lose weight or be more productive? How many times have you failed? Hi, my name is Ashton Doctor. Tune into my show, The Habit Coach Podcast, where we focus on creating small, tiny habits to improve your life instead of those big, impossible tasks. So make listening to me a habit every Monday, Wednesday and Friday on the IVM Podcast app or ivmpodcast.com or on your favorite podcasting app.
Look! Up in the internet! It's a meme! No! It's a cat video! No! It's the Geek Fruit Podcast!
That's right, we interrupt this riveting broadcast to tell you about our show, the Geek Fruit Podcast, where Tejas, Dinkar and I, Jishnu, talk about everything in pop culture, including DC, Marvel, Star Wars, Netflix, and everything in between.
You know how your friends hate it when you ramble about some nerdy crap and you just want somebody to listen to you? Well, sorry, there's nothing we can do about that, but come listen to us ramble and it'll almost be like the real thing. Kind of.
Listen to new episodes of the Geek Fruit Podcast every Monday and the Geek Fruit Bulletin every Thursday on iTunes, Google Podcasts, the IVM app, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Happy listening, you nerds.